This is an aggressive beer. You probably won't like it. It's quite doubtful that you have the taste or sophistication to be able to appreciate an ale of this quality and depth. We would suggest that you stick to safer and more familiar territory. Maybe something with a multi-million-dollar ad campaign aimed at convincing you it's made in a little brewery, or one that implies that their tasteless, fizzy yellow beverage will give you more sex appeal. Perhaps you think multi-million-dollar ad campaigns make a beer taste better. Perhaps you're mouthing the words as you read this.
That was Aaron, and I'm Matthew, and in this training video we're going to be talking about the American Strong Ale style. Now, an American Strong Ale needs 3 very specific things in order to be called an American Strong Ale. Number 1, it has to be American. Number 2, it has to be strong. And number 3, it has to be an ale.
I always forget the third part.
So an American Strong Ale is basically a very open-ended style of beer for ales that don't really fit into any other classification. They're not exactly double IPAs, they're not exactly barley wines, and they're not stouts or anything else that heavy, but they always will be high in ABV. Now, this style of beer was essentially created to give this particular beer, Stone Arrogant Bastard, a actual classification of style. This one is only 7.2%, which is actually on the very low end as far as most American strong ales go. This is, if you will, maybe we can call it more of a classic American strong ale, or maybe an old school, because since this beer was first released, the style has changed a lot, and it's become a lot bigger and a lot more aggressive. So now your American strong ales, 7.2 is really going to be on the low end of the ABV. They can really range upwards towards 9-10%.
Yeah, well, you really have to remember that, like you said, this category was created for Stone Arrogant Bastard. So as other beers have evolved, other beers have come and gone that are probably stronger, especially for ABV. This is the one that really started it all. It all, and we have an entire line of beers that under the Bastard name under Stone that comes from it. There's Double Bastard, there's Lucky Bastard, there's Oaked Arrogant Bastard. I think I'm missing.
Did you say
more.
Double Bastard?
I think I did. We have double oaked bastard is another one. Yep. So there's a whole line. There's a whole line of beers. This comes from Stone Brewing, which is out of Escondido. Fun to say. Escondido, California. It's just north of San Diego. It was released in around 1997, 1998. So craft beer had not caught on yet. Hence the reason why we read the back of this bottle. Now, it's an American Strong Ale. We're going to be pouring it into pints. I'll do yours first.
Now, some American Strong Ales will go into pints, depending upon the alcohol content. However, remember that if something is on draft, now if it comes from a bottle, then we always will pour into the appropriate type of glassware. However, if this beer is on another American Strong Ale with a higher ABV above 8% is on draft, then we're actually going to be pouring it into our 10-ounce snifters. But the actual brewery branded Arrogant Bastard glassware is pint glasses, and that's the way that they serve it at the Stone Brew Pub. So that's the way we serve it at the Brass Tap as well.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this one, Aaron.
All right.
Ooh.
So it's a beautiful red color. It's a little bit lighter than those nice ruby tones we've seen in some other beers. It's got that same shade, but it's a little bit lighter. Really, really nice looking beer. Very active beer as far as carbonation is concerned.
Sure is.
Really nice head retention. It's even more than an off-white head, I would say. It's
kind of a sandy color
khaki,
to it.
Yeah, really light khaki.
Yep. It's not completely clear. It is filtered, but there is some residual sediment in it as well. It's kind of got almost a dull or slightly hazy clarity to it.
I've got some floaties, a little bit of floaties in mine towards the bottom. I don't know if you do as well, which is completely normal, doesn't alter or affect the taste of the beer whatsoever.
Yep, and it's a really good head retention on this. Just a really, really handsome beer. Let's go ahead and smell this one.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm getting big time caramel.
Yep, yeah. A lot of American strong ales, because remember it's an American style of beer. So typically when a style of beer is prefaced by the word American, it's going to indicate that it has a higher hopping rate than most other traditional styles of beer. Now American strong ales, though, will sometimes have a little bit more of that caramel backbone. Remember, you need a lot of malt in order to get a high level of alcohol content. So the more malt you have, the more sugars you have, the more alcohol you can do. So that caramel is really, really kind of shining through, but there's definitely lots of big pine bitterness right below it.
Yeah, it's almost like a mini barley wine.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's got a very, very similar aroma to what most of your American barley wines will. It's rich. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. There's a little bit of jamminess, some earthiness, a lot of caramel, some toasted toffee.
There's some just a tiny touch of some dark fruits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe some dark plum.
It's in context,
there's a lot there. Yeah,
and in the context of what we now have from this style, it almost seems a little bit muted. But to think about when this style came out, when this beer was released, there was really nothing like this beer on the market. It was so much more big and intense in flavor and aroma, and you can still really kind of that still pulls through. But it almost seems a little muted from some other examples of the style.
It smells pretty well balanced though too. Let's see if that taste follows it. You know, Stone was wrong. I do like the beer.
Yeah. I'm not intimidated by it.
Yeah.
No, this is
easy
good.
to see though why someone would be intimidated if you're talking 15 years ago in the American craft beer scene.
Sure.
This comes on and it's just blew people out of the water.
Sure, yeah, completely a complete departure from what was commercially available at the time. Yeah, you get that. It really follows. It's more bitter in the flavor than the nose would have indicated. You get a lot of that pine. It's got a really long, bitter hang to it, but you still get a lot of those big, sweet caramel notes right up front. Mm-hmm. It definitely has a lot of balance and really, really big flavor as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a whole lot of flavor. I think you're right on the nose when you were talking about the bitterness really, really showing itself in the taste rather than the aroma. Mm-hmm. So it's a really, really nice juxtaposition of that nice malty aroma and then that really kind of astringent, but in a good way, bitterness.
Sure, yeah.
Cleansing.
The astringency is just a little bit of a dryness to it, much like tannins do for wine. A lot of times hops will give a bit of an astringency, a dryness in the corners of your mouth and down the back of your throat as you complete the swallow. Mm-hmm. A really, really good beer, and it's definitely an aggressive beer. I mean, it's Stone always kind of takes their marketing as the very arrogant bastard is really the personification of their entire marketing plan, and in many ways the owner of Stone Brewing as well.
Yeah, he cut his beard. Yeah, he had a beard. It was a phenomenal beard. I know. Moment of silence.
Thank you.
Okay, that was for Greg's beard. But I believe this is the first time that we see the infamous Stone Gargoyle as well. Mm-hmm. Now their gargoyle is featured prominently on a lot of their label art. But I believe this was the very first beer to feature the famous Stone Gargoyle, which is pretty cool too. And then the little "You're Not Worthy" at the bottom. This beer comes, its availability is pretty much everywhere. It will come, you'll see it in both 22-ounce bombers and on draft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It makes its rounds through Brass Taps. It's a popular beer. It's got a lot of history in the lineage of American craft beers. It's a very important beer historically as far as American brewing is concerned. And it's people love the name of it. They love the marketing of it. And I mean, it's just a very well designed beer, not only as a beer itself, but also in its packaging. It's a great beer for people that are fans of IPAs, people that are fans of maybe an Imperial Red. They definitely have to kind of like that bitterness to it, or barley wines. Even you can think of it as kind of a sessionable barley wine. I know that's a contradiction of terms, but it fits in that place. It's not a beginner's beer. It's definitely a big, aggressive flavor.
Yeah, and it's for an American strong ale, it definitely is that. But it's such a wide wide category that it could be a lot of other things too. But I know one thing: Stone was right. Of it is the antithesis of the fizzy yellow beer.
That's correct. That's right. Well, cheers, mate.
Cheers.